We are most honored to have Captain Noel J. Dahike, Commanding Officer, Naval Weapons Station, Seal Beach, as our keynote speaker. Captain Dahike, please, sir.
Wow, first of all, good morning, City of Huntington Beach. Thank you for having me.
Good morning.
And I have to say, what a spectacular venue this is. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better backdrop, and I guess this is why we all pay that proverbial sunshine tax, being a San Diego resident myself. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Gormley, for that kind introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Americans, American veterans, thank you for inviting me to join you in celebrating this cherished and significant day. As you just heard, I command Seal Beach Naval Weapons Station, which is about 8 miles up the coast, traveling north on PCH. You may see warships docked at our facility in Anaheim Bay, or you may notice our munitions storage bunkers as you drive by the base on the 405. In the 3 months now that I've been in this job, I've heard that the weapons station has always been a bit of a mystery to many Orange County residents. So I'd like to start out with a quick background about what we do over there. Our sailors and civilians specialize in storing and in some cases maintaining Navy missiles, torpedoes, gun ammunition, and countermeasures devices. We then load these munitions on the Pacific Fleet warships that are preparing to deploy overseas. Once those vessels come back from deployment, we offload those same munitions and prepare them for the next ship. We do the same thing for Marine Corps ammunition carried by our amphibious assault ships. Your local Navy base supplies munitions to a majority of the Pacific Fleet, and in fact is the only naval weapons station port within 1,000 miles of here. We are a critical national asset. I'm very proud to tell you that we recently won the Navy Region Southwest Installation Excellence Award for small installations, designated us as the best small Navy base in the southwestern United States.
Woohoo! Very good.
But I'm here today to talk about something far more important, as we pay our respects to those who have protected this great nation since its birth. On the 11th of November 1918, World War I ended, and it was the most terrible war in Western history to that day. They used to call it the Great War. In the end, the stalemate on the Western Front was broken by 5 million American veterans who finally won peace for America and all of Europe. The next November, 1919, a day was set aside by President Woodrow Wilson to commemorate the sacrifices of the American veteran and to remind Americans of the tragedies of war. It was called Armistice Day at first because many people believed and dearly hoped that the Great War was the war to end all wars. Only 20 years passed, and the Great War was followed by World War II. All too soon, America was fighting on the 2 great oceans and several continents. Young American veterans were once again called upon for service and sacrifice. Through 4 bitter years, 13 million men and women served America in the Second World War. Many were lost or wounded. Their buddies and shipmates who survived kept fighting and endured through to victory. And when they got home to the United States out of their own hard work, intelligence, and ingenuity, they built the greatest prosperity in human history. They fed, clothed, and helped to rebuild the societies of not only our allies, but also our former enemies. At the same time, the veterans and their fellow citizens made the freest, strongest, proudest nation on earth. They did all this at home while having to fight another enemy of human freedom, communism. In our long struggle against communism, we became the leader of the free world. Millions of Americans served in wars, hot and cold, on the freezing hills of Korea and in the steaming jungles of Vietnam. Terrible sacrifices were made by our veterans, but once again, America and her allies came out victorious as the Soviet Union crumbled and 300 million people were freed from communist enslavement. The veterans of the American Revolution gave us our country. The veterans of America since, for more than 2 centuries now, have preserved the country that won in battle. They are the heroes who protected us all. Even now, our military personnel on active duty serve their country all over the world. in the Middle East, in the Western Hemisphere, Europe, Asia, and beyond, on every sea and ocean, American warriors are on duty. Sailors, Marines, soldiers, airmen, and Coast Guardsmen, our military is on watch every day and night of every year, on their sacred mission of service for peace and freedom. Where and when we need them, they're there. If you'll allow me now to be somewhat parochial, given the uniform I'm wearing today, I'd like to talk now a bit about the veterans I know best, my shipmates on watch around the world. Having just served overseas in the Middle East and returning this past summer, these are the Navy personnel who, as I speak, are protecting and defending America on the world's oceans. Navy ships, submarines, aircraft, and most importantly, tens of thousands of America's finest young men and women are deploying, doing just that. They are there now. They will be there when we are sleeping tonight. They will be there every Saturday, Sunday, and holiday this year. They are there around the clock, far from our shores, defending America at all times. That they are there is critically important, because as we have learned throughout our nation's great history, being there matters. Being there matters in business. It is why American firms maintain a presence in their overseas markets. Being there matters in politics. It is why the State Department maintains a diplomatic force in nearly every nation on earth. Being there matters to our national defense. It is why U.S. soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines are stationed around the world protecting America at all times. America's veterans have done this for generations. America's Navy veterans have protected America on two fronts. They protect our national security through forward presence, and by projecting our national power around the globe, they prevent and deter wars. And when necessary, they fight, and we decisively win wars. But they have also preserved America's prosperity by protecting the U.S. economy. Our economy fundamentally depends on the unimpeded flow of commerce and information on and under the seas. More than 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by water. 80% of the world's population lives close to a coast. 90% of all global trade by volume travels by sea. The free flow of goods over the world's oceans is a national security issue. 1/4, that's 38 million, of all U.S. jobs are directly or indirectly tied to global trade. 1/4 of U.S. manufacturing jobs depends on exports. 1/5 of all U.S. agricultural products by volume is sold in overseas markets. Your Navy veterans operating forward have ensured this flow of goods remains unimpeded. America's Navy is uniquely positioned to do all this because the world's oceans give the Navy the power to protect America's interests anywhere, at any time. Being there matters. When America's national security is threatened by the existence of a weapons facility or a terrorist camp on the other side of the world, being there matters. Where these threats exist, chances are high that Navy ships, submarines, aircraft, or special operations forces are close by, with the warfighting ability to destroy targets located hundreds of miles inland. When the decision is made to act on one of these threats, the solution may involve launching fighter attack aircraft or unmanned aircraft from carriers, firing cruise missiles from ships or submarines, or inserting a team of Navy SEALs to do what only SEALs can do. In any case, the Navy can do all these things and do them all from the sea without the need to get another country's permission to operate within its borders. There are two popular themes or thoughts when it comes to our aircraft carriers whenever there is a crisis. First one is, where are our carriers? And the second, we can operate anywhere, anytime, because of 4.5 acres of sovereign territory that floating aircraft carrier represents. A recent example of this warfighting ability occurred just weeks ago, as Navy warships protecting freedom of navigation in the Red Sea successfully defended themselves against missile attacks and then struck back at the facilities directing those attacks. Following a humanitarian crisis like Hurricane Matthew 5 weeks ago in Haiti, the devastating typhoon that struck the Philippines in 2013, or the tsunami that ravaged northern Japan in 2011, being there mattered. Because the Navy is always deployed around the world, it can provide nearly immediate humanitarian assistance to our global neighbors in the wake of a disaster, ferrying supplies, medicine, and trained medical personnel ashore from Navy ships via helicopters and landing craft. When narco-traffickers use speedboats and rudimentary submarines to ferry illegal drugs across the oceans and into America, being there matters. Navy ships and submarines work the waters near Central and South America with law enforcement agencies to intercept shipments of illegal narcotics before they reach our shores. It all boils down to a simple fact: when it comes to protecting and defending America, being there matters. Today, right now, America's force, your force, is already there. This will come as no surprise to the veterans in attendance here, because back in the day, they were there too. We look back to the other conflicts and mortal threats to our nation, values, and our lives themselves. And every time, every single time, there have been American veterans standing between our nation and all its threats and enemies. The lines of wars and battles, the unbreakable line of selfless service, reaches back to our War of Independence and continues in our current fight against ISIS. How does America find them decade after decade, conflict after conflict, from the freezing barefoot soldiers of General Washington to our warriors today who fight against terrorists? Who are those gallant men and women who protect us as we sleep, whose mission never ends? The answer, ladies and gentlemen, is right here today. Veterans are Americans just like yourselves. We share our lives, our values, and our country. They are Americans first, last, and always. In 2001, war came to this land, killing thousands of our people. 15 years later, veterans are still fighting overseas to find the enemy on his own grounds and keep them from launching further attacks here. We don't know what is the latest effort or what will require years, lives, and service. There may be setbacks on the course ahead, but American veterans will get their country to safe harbor again, as they have always done before. Honor, courage, commitment, duty, and country. That is the code and definition of American veterans from the first day of our nation to today's conflicts. They have always kept faith with us, their own people, for the cause that our leaders so often speak of that unites us all: the peace, security, and prosperity of America. God bless them all on this Veterans Day. Thank you.